Today we are going to discuss constraints and relational model. So we have discussed so far what is a relational model. So now we will be discussing what are the constraints which are necessary in the relational model. So constraints are actually many. It's a form of restriction. So, or condition that must hold on all valid relation stage. It means that these constraints or restriction should be applied or should be implemented in all the relation. So these constraints are actually taken from. It is not an independent. It is not something which is coming out of nowhere. These are actually constraints are taken from the real world situation from which we are taking our database system. So constraints are in a way a necessity in order to maintain the integrity of the student of the database system. Basically, there are three main categories of constraint in relational model. The first one is called inherent model-based constraint, or in other words, it is also called implicit constraint, implicit constraints. Okay, constraints that are inherent in the model. That means it is sort of built in, or it is sort of part of the model itself. That is one category of the constraint. And the next one is schema-based constraint or explicit constraint, constraints that can be directly expressed in the schema of the model itself. For example, when we design a database schema, we design or we build some constraints in the design itself, in the design of database itself. Therefore, these constraints can be specified or can be uh, yes, can be specified using data definition language. Because if you remember, data definition language is a programming language that is used to design the database system. In other words, it is used to design the database schema. So therefore, in the designing language itself, schema-based constraints or explicit constraints can be specified. And the third one is application-based or semantic constraint or business rules. These constraints cannot be directly expressed in the schema of database model. Therefore, it must be expressed or enforced by the application program. If you can recall, a database system is a database system and which is usually accessed by an application program. Okay, so we have DBMS and we have application programs. So the third one, is the constraints which cannot be inbuilt or which cannot be part of the schema of the design, but which has to be enforced in the application that is used to access the database system. So these are the three main categories of database system. It is not constraints are not limited to these three categories. There are, in fact, so many other uh, categories or types of constraints. Another important category of constraint is data independence. Okay, which include functional dependencies, multivariate dependencies. These are also in a way constraints which are necessary for the database system. Now, Coming to the different types of constraint, we picked up some of the constraints like key domain constraint, key constraint, and so on. So, and then entity integrity, referential integrity, and so on. So, what is domain constraints? When we look at a database system, the value of each attribute must be an atomic value. There are two things here. The value of an attribute must be an atomic value. That means the value can no longer be further divided. Okay, no longer divisible. Divisible. Okay, which is no longer divisible. Age, for example, age of a person, say a person's age is 23. So we cannot divide this age in terms of year, okay, in terms of year. But if the person age, age is, given in terms of month and date and so on, then it is divisible. But in terms of number of years, suppose how old is a person, then for example, this 23, the number 23 is no longer visible. So the attribute value must be must be uh, non-divisible, no longer divisible, must be atomic value. And it must be from the domain of its attribute, or it could be null, wherever null is allowed. That means that if a person is, as we say, is to be the number of years, okay? Age is defined as a number of years in this case, then we specify this. Therefore, this should come from that domain only. Okay, for example, these cannot be numbers. 23 cannot be written as 23. This is not the same domain. These are numerals. If it is from the numeral data type, then it has to come from that domain only. So therefore, each attribute, when we say a relationship, for example, a student, then students have a name, roll number, have a say department. So all the attributes, each column is the attribute. So each column will come from the value of this column will come from the same domain. That is, for example, name, for example, is a combination of say characters. Okay, then it has to be characters, or it can be there are other data types also. For example, alphanumeric, which is very popular, then it has to be alphanumeric. That means a combination of alphabets and numbers, because some names have numbers. Roll number, for example, if it is numbers only, then it has to be numbers. Okay, so the domain constraint says that, for example, roll number, in one place we have numbers, in other place you have a date, in some other place you have a you have characters. Okay, so it cannot be a mix of this. Whatever the domain which is specified for that attribute will remain. So therefore, the data types associated with the domains typically include all the standard data types. For example, these are standard data types. Numeric data types for integer and real numbers, then characters, booleans, and string, date, time, timestamp, and other special data types, and so on. So these are the basic data type which is supported by the operating system. So all of those things, but are supposed to be the domain from which the attribute draws its value, it takes its value. But the value, the domain from which the value is taken has to be consistent for each attribute. Now, or if it is not from that domain, then It may also be a null value. That is, wherever null is allowed. For example, we said name of a student, roll number is not yet assigned because the student has just taken admission and assigning of roll number is yet to be done. Then we may allow that until the roll number is given to the student, that value where roll number is supposed to be can be a null value because it is not yet available. Information is not yet available. Then we have the other type of constraint, which is called key constraints. So here in key constraints, it says that no two tuple can have the same combination of values for all their attributes. So which is usually expressed uh, in T1, that is tuple 1, uh, is not equal to tuple 2. That is, SK actually stands for super key. We'll come to that. Now, this condition must hold in any valid state of a relation. Okay, so a set of attribute is called a super key of a relation schema. That means a key is a super key such that removal of any attribute from K results in a set of attribute that is not a super key, does not possess the super key uniqueness property. So what we mean to say is that every tuple should be unique. As I've said, a tuple is the equivalent of a row of information: name, roll number. This is the student relation, roll number. Then we have, then I simply say class. Okay, so ABC is one student, roll number 1. Then I say roll number 1 class belongs to library and information science, for example. Similarly, CDE is also a student who is roll number 2, for example. Let us say this as L02, E02 is from economics department, and so on. So its row of information is called a tuple. Therefore, each tuple should have unique values. I mean, it cannot be the same. I cannot write the same person. I cannot represent in the database the same person. ABC is a person. All these things are repeated in another row. That means we are simply repeating the same information over and over again. Therefore, that is why there should not be the two tuples should not have the same values. Okay, it should not have the values, values for all the attribute. In this case, name, roll number, class are all attributes. So the same cannot be the same. For example, if I put it here, ABC, LO1, LIS, the third row and the first row is the same, then I'm violating one key constraint. You know why we said key is that when you maintain this uniqueness, that each tuple, the value of each tuple is different from another tuple, then the combination of this value, ABC, L01, LIS, and then CD, they will not be the same. Therefore, it is also called a super key. It is unique in a way. Then we have a key. Okay, so a key satisfies two properties. That is, two distinct tuples in any state of relation cannot have identical values for all the attribute in the key. So it is a minimal super key, a super key from which we cannot remove any attributes and still have the uniqueness. Okay, now we'll come to this thing will be clear with examples. Now, take this, for example, the key attribute here. Let me also acknowledge that all these diagrams are taken from El Masri and Nawaz's Fundamentals of a Database System, published by Pearson India Education, 2017 edition. So the attribute social security number, for example, here, this is social security number, is a key of student. That is the relation, name of the relation, okay? Key of student. So any set of attribute that include social security number can be a super key. For example, social security number, name, and age. If we take only this combination of these three attribute values, we will have a unique value, okay, a combination of unique value, which is a super key. So a set of attribute that include, as long as it includes social security number, can be a super key. But the super key, social security number, name is not a key of the student. Okay, it's not a key of the student, because when we change, okay, when we change the value, for example, there is a change in name, a change in age, then the same is not true anymore. Okay, so now here is another example. Consider this car relation. This is name of the relation car. Here we have a car, then the state, and then registration number, serial number, and then make, model, year. Sorry, state is not here. Okay. For example, we can have, this should be, yeah, license number. Okay. So we can have a key, even serial number can be a key, or license number can be a key, okay, or a combination of these two can be a key, or either one of them can be a key. Both are super keys of this card, okay. If we take these two together, it is the super key of car. License number and serial number. Ignore this part, it is not corresponding to the table. So it does not, I mean, combination of license number and engine number itself, is a super key, because it is unique everywhere in each tuple. In each tuple, it is unique, it's not the same. And we can take, for example, serial number as a key, because this serial engine serial number itself also uniquely identify the numbers. The tuples, each tuple. Okay. So coming to the next slide, any key is a super key, but any super key is not a key. That's what we are trying to say. And any set of attributes, okay, any set of attributes that includes a key is a super key. Okay, then a minimal super key is also a key. The value of attribute can be used. This is important. I want to underscore this. The value of key attributes can be used to identify each tuple in a relation. This is the whole reason why keys and super keys are being discussed here, because the value of the key attribute can be used to identify its tuple. For example, we have here the value. For example, if we assign this as the key, social security number as the key, then this social security number, since it is unique for each person, so these can uniquely identify whether the person or the student to whom we are referring are Benjamin or Chungcha or Dick Davidson and so on. So every person has a unique social security number, therefore that can uniquely identify each individual or each tuple. Okay, then a key is time variant. What do we mean by that? A key is time variant. That means a key cannot change over a period of time. Okay, in terms of age, for example, we said here age of a person can change. Age of a person will change every year, but social security number will not change. Okay, therefore, it is used as a sign, as a key, and it is time variant, it cannot change over time. So there will be so many keys. I mean, among the attributes, for example, in this car example, license number and then engine serial number, both of them qualifies to be the key because both of them have unique values in its tuples. Okay, therefore both of them qualify to be the key, but both of them are not used as key. One of them is assigned primary key. For example, in this case, we assign the engine serial number as a primary key to identify its tuple. Then all of this, I mean, both of this license number and engine serial number are called candidate keys. Okay. So out of that candidate keys, because candidate keys, why? Because it's the value unique are unique in its tuple, therefore they are candidate keys. Out of that candidate key, we are taking out the primary key. Okay. Now, a primary key can be the value of, here in this case, primary key we assign as a value of only uh, one attribute, that is engine serial number. But a primary key can be a combination of attributes. Okay, it can be a combination. We can use both license number, engine serial number, or we can even use all of this: license number, engine serial number, make, model, year. All of these attributes also are can be also used as primary key because its value in its tuple will be unique. Therefore, that itself also uniquely identifies a tuple. That can also be used, but the convention is that primary key, it is always better to choose from a single attribute or a small number of, if at all we don't have the option of choosing from a single attribute, then it can be chosen from the small number of attributes. So whatever is the candidate key, the remaining candidate keys which are not used for the primary key is also still known as the unique keys. Now coming to the relational database schema. Now here a relational database schema, that is a set of S of relation schema that belongs to the same database. Okay, a set of relation schemas that belongs to the same database. So S is the name of the whole database schema. Remember this. S is a name of the whole database schema, that where S is equal to relation 1, okay, relation 1, relation 2, and goes on in a relation M. So that means that a relational database schema, okay, a relational database schema consists of more than one relation. Okay, so a collection of relation, in simple words, a collection of tables can be said to be relational database schema. Okay, so relation 1, relation 2, relation N are the names of the individual relation schema within that database schema. So suppose we design a database schema. Okay, we design a database schema. So in our database schema, we'll have so many relation. Okay, for example, one relation here, another relation, another relation, another relation. And how are these going to function together when you have so many relations? Okay, all of these things will be linked together. All of these things will be linked together with the help of the key that we just defined. Then when these are linked together, they form a database, a relational database schema. That is what we are trying to say here. A database that did not satisfy the integrity constraint is called not valid. Unless you specify, integrity constraint is satisfied, is called valid. If it satisfies, then it is called valid state. Name of the attribute representing the same concept but different roles may have different attributes. Now let me show you this. So this is an example of the uh, relational database schema. Okay, all of this together is a relational database schema of supposed to be a company. Okay, schema diagram for a company. For example, this is one relation, employee, where we we record the first name, middle name or initial, last name, social security number, date of birth, address, and so on. This is one relation. And another relation, we have a department. So these department have attributes like name, department number, manager's social security number, manager's start date. Similarly, we have department location, department number and location, projects, workshop. How many relation do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 relation. For this company database, relational database schema, we have 6 relation. Now, the last sentence where we mention name of attribute representing the same concept but in different roles have different names. Okay. Now we also said that all these relational schema, the relational database schema have multiple relation, and these multiple relations are interrelated, are referring to each other with the help of keys, the primary keys that we had discussed. Now, for example, here the primary key is of employee is underlined. This is one convention which is used in this book, Fundamentals of Database Management System, which I said I'm referring to. So here you will see that it is underlined. Okay, if it is underlined, it means that this is the primary key, which will be used, which will be unique for each tuple and one, and then it will be used to identify each tuple. Now, if you look at this, we have other primary key as well. I mean, we have here this and this manager social security number is the same. Okay, but the name here is attribute name is SSN, but here it is MGR underscore SSN is not the same. Okay, why? Because we can have the same, but why these different names are used is because these are used in different roles. Now, if it is in different relation, in this case, employee and department are two different relations, we could have still used the same attribute name here, repeat the attribute name here. But the problem comes here, for example, if you look at this towards the end, that means each person will have a supervisor. Supervisor is also an employee. So the value of SSN and super underscore SSN, these attributes are the same. The values are the same. But somebody's supervisor also will be the social security number of the supervisor. Okay. So when this comes, we cannot have the same SSN. For example, we put SSN here, we put SSN there, then it becomes confusing. But if we put super underscore SSN, we know that this is the supervisor's social security number. So that is the reason why we are using different names. Now coming to entity integrity constraint. Now the primary key attribute, okay, the primary key attributes of its relation schema are in S cannot have null values in any tuple of that relation. Now, that means that the value in its tuple cannot, I mean, the value of the primary key in its tuple cannot be null. For example, we say student is a relation, name, roll number, class. For example, if you use roll number as the primary key, okay, then this value, the attribute value of this primary key cannot be null. That means we cannot keep it 0. It has to be, something has to be there, since we are using as a primary key. Okay, so because when you put the primary key value as 0, then it can no longer, that particular tuple or row can no longer be identified. Okay, it cannot be uniquely identified, or it cannot be accessed. And if the primary key has several attributes, null is not allowed in any of those attributes. Suppose we said in the previous slides that we can have a primary key using the value of multiple attributes. Okay, in that case, if we are using the value of multiple attributes, then none of those attribute values can be a primary, can be a null value, because it violates the entity integrity. So other attributes of R may be constraints to disallow null values, even though they are not members of the primary. Sometimes this null value is not allowed even in other attributes. Okay, even if that particular attribute is not a primary key. Now, coming to referencer integrity, a constraint involving two relations, that is referencer integrity means that previously when we say entity integrity, we are talking about one relation. Okay, we are talking about one relation or one table only. So here we are saying that only in one table which has multiple tuples or multiple rows, so the primary key cannot be null. You cannot have a null value. If you have a combination of attribute as primary key, none of those values, values can be null. Okay, we are talking about one relation. Remember, one relation. Now, when we say referencer integrity, we are talking about two relations, a constraint that involves two relations. How those two relations will refer or refer to each other. So this is used to specify relationship among tuples in two relation. So there will be the referencing relation and the reference relation. Okay, for example, we have let us use the earlier employee is one relation where we have so many so and so. Then we have department is one relation. Okay, so when we say referencer integrity, there is some kind of relationship between these two relations. Okay, later on we'll display with the diagrams. Now, tuples in the referencing relation have attribute, that is foreign key, called foreign key attribute, that reference the primary key attributes of the reference. For example, this is, let us say, employee is the referring, it will have its own primary key, the referring relation. Then it will also have a foreign key. So this foreign key is the primary key of the relation to which it refers. It is referring to this primary key, and it is kept as a foreign key as one attribute value of this particular relation because it's referring to that. So this primary key becomes a foreign key in the referring relation. Okay, always remember when I said relation, I'm talking about one table. Okay, though it is not exactly appropriate to call it a table, but in order to make it simple. Okay, so now a reference integrity constraint may be displayed in relation database schema in the form of arc. We'll come to that. Now, its relation schema can be displayed as a row of attribute names. So, a relation schema can be displayed as a row of attribute names. So, that means that the name of the relation is written above the attribute names. For example, like the primary key attribute or attribute will be underlined. The foreign key constraint is displayed as a direct arc. Okay, it can also be point. We'll come to this. Now, this is one example. Here. As I said earlier, this is the SSN is the primary key of the relation employee, and the primary key of the relation department is D number. Okay, and we have both of them are primary keys. Therefore, SSN is underlined in employee relation because this is a primary key of employee relation, and D number is underlined because this is a primary key of the department relation. But if you look at this, we have D number here. We don't DNO, it is used as DNO. Okay, we have DNO in employee relation, which is the same value as D number in department. Okay, so this primary key value has become the foreign key of the employee, which is referring to the department relation. So this way, every D number and this will correspond. The department number, though they have different attribute names, but the values will be the same. Therefore, whenever the employee relation is referring to a particular department, it will refer to as one name, right? And as refer to that particular tuple or row, because that is uniquely identified by the primary key. Therefore, we are using that to refer to that. This is what referential integrity is about. Another thing that which I may repeat here is like social security number here and super social security number, which I have explained it earlier. Okay, these are the same, but in this case, this is supervisor social security number. So that means that every employee has a supervisor. Therefore, in order to find out who is supervised by whom, we are using the employee social security number again, but here the attribute name is changed in order to understand the role that this particular attribute plays. All right. So similarly, we have D number here, but it's not the same as DNO. Here is DNUM in project. If you look at project, we have this. It is the same D number here again. Similarly, we have works on here, and we have, see, for example, social security number have 1, 2, 3, 4. So dependent of employee, here we are using ESS, employee social security number. So this one is referring to the employee to find out, to record who is whose dependent. Okay. So similarly, we also have works on which employee is working on and for how many hours and which project. In order to find out, we have this employee social security number, which is the same again. Then we also have, what we said, manager. Every department is managed by one employee. Therefore, managers SSN is the same employee social security number. This is how all of these things are all this relation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 relation uh, in in a relational database schema or a company relational schema is being linked together, and this worked out as one database schema through this referential integrity constraint. Okay, there are other types of constraints, like we have semantic integrity constraint, which is based on application semantics, cannot be expressed by the model per se. For example, that means that the data definition language or the design of the database itself, the schema itself cannot be used to define these constraints or uh, yeah. So, for example, the maximum number of hours employee for a work he or she works on is, for example, in 56 hours per week. This kind of thing cannot be specified in the model itself. In such case, a constraint specification language may be used to express this. Or, for example, for this type of thing, SQL allows triggers and assertions to express some of this. So far the constraint that we have discussed, okay, we have discussed are called state constraint. There are constraint which is transition constraint also, which deals with the state of changes in the database. As the database change, what are the constraints that has to be taken care of? So there are so many other constraints as well. But with this, I hope that we will understand what is basically the basic constraints which is applicable to a relational database model. Finally, I would like to mention again that the content of this presentation is extracted from Elmslie-Nawat, Fundamentals of Database System, published by Pearson Education Service. This is special Indian edition, published in 2017. Then the presentation which I'm using is adapted from Professor Ahmed Elmer Gurmit on the Information System class lecture, Purdue University, Department of Computer Science, which can be downloaded freely from this website. Thank you. I hope this presentation will help you understand what is constraint in a relational database system. With this, we have come to the end of today's class. Thank you again.